All right. Well, so what are we going to talk about?
You are down for your second night off.
Yeah. My mother and sister finally moved to Montana. Um, they, I guess, they're finalizing the sale of my mother's house. This young couple want to buy it. So I guess that's in the works as well. My sister spent weeks, months planning for this, wrapping stuff up, packaging stuff up to send to Montana, and deciding what they're going to leave behind. And we told them that we wanted, there were 4 rugs, big area rugs down there we wanted. So today, or it was yesterday now, right?
Yesterday?
Um, we went down there to get them because very next day the estate sale woman was going to come and set up, the estate sale woman was going to come and set up for the estate sales. But everything that was left behind, they're going to sell. I guess to split the money between the estate agency people and my mother. And so anyway, we decided when we were down there getting the rugs, we picked through everything else and get what we wanted. We wanted out of that.
I did.
And it
I did
was.
text your sister and say, "What about these things you left behind, etc." She said, "Yeah."
So it was dishes and furniture and God knows what you tell what all was it?
Well, we got 2 nightstands. One is to go into your studio for you to work from, and the other goes and into my library, my office area. And it's going to replace the filing cabinet that is messed up. Right now, the printer is sitting on it, a cheap filing cabinet. So we're just going to scoot everything over a bit and put this nightstand there. It's really nice, very sturdy, solid wood with drawers. And I'm in the process of digitizing everything except for, graduation stuff and other little certificates you can't digitize. So this just kind of forces me to work a little more towards the filing. We also got a small footstool, which I had admired. Catherine had bought it locally, and I was just awestruck with how pretty it was, and she loved it. And I think that's it for the furniture in the house.
Well, we invited our daughter to come over and see what she wanted, and she picked out this 7 foot tall bookcase thing that used to be in my bedroom when they lived in the other house
And
down the road.
a small table.
Okay. So and that was we're leading up. I'm leading up to something. Why I'm out of work yesterday tonight.
Wait. She also got that extremely nice dining set, china.
Yeah.
8-piece setting with these beautiful floral prints on it and stuff. Right in the whole cottagecore stuff she likes. But it was the bookcase that did everybody in.
Well, it wasn't just that,
is.
but it was move all this shit out of the way, roll the rugs up, put them on the roof of my car, schlep them up here, get them in the house, then go back down there and move this and move that, and finally the crowning. I had come home to go to sleep, and I hadn't barely slept 2 hours, and Peter comes in the room and says, Mom says that you need to wake up and get dressed and go down there and help move that bookcase over to Reed's apartment.
Look, I knew you were going to be home that night, so I just knew, because you had lost so much sleep. And I thought, well, just a little bit more. I don't normally ask him to do this shit.
So Bonnie's father came over with a truck and a set of hand trucks, and we loaded this thing on the back of his truck, drove over to Reed's apartment, and then got it up the stairs to her apartment. And I am basically one step at a time, pulling with my right arm, up, bang, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was really hurting myself because got home, sort of got settled in after all this. Our house is just full of crap to be sorted and taken care of and put this here and there. Anyway, so I'm sitting around waiting to go to sleep, And all of a sudden I begin to realize I'm in a lot of damn pain. Left ankle, left hip, left arm is completely paralyzed. Can't make a fist on my left hand. Right wrist, right hand. So it felt better. Hold on. A little nauseous. Went to sleep and woke up and feeling a lot better, but still really messed up. I have a raised area on my right wrist. I got a wrap on it right now. So I had to call in for a second night. And
You're fucked up.
yeah, I'm in a mess. My hip is really hurting. So when I realized, yeah, how bad my right wrist was, I had to skip weights tonight, and so no way like I would have gone to work. And we got all this work to do in here, moving this shit around. And tomorrow, Bonnie and I have to get up and install 13 paintings at this business that's going to show my paintings for a month. It'll be the first show I've had in a year and a half.
5 years.
No, right. It was 2001. Last show was November 2001. So
That's not right. 2021.
2021. Yeah, obviously, yeah. November 2021. So that's what, 3.5 years? That got her. She's looking at me like I'm losing my fucking mind. I asked her a math question. Yeah, 3.5 years basically. And so we got to hang these paintings. I spent all this time with my hurt wrist installing hanging wire in the back of the paintings. Then we got to print up labels, price list, author's bio, contact information, artist contact information. We got to get press releases sent to the 2 local papers, and hope people show up and spend $300 a pop on these things. If I can sell 1 painting, Jesus. 2.
12 would be 3,600. I'll have to report the income. Sorry.
Yeah. And
It's $600. You can only sell 2 of them. 600 is the limit. Then I have
Really?
to report the income.
so
Yeah.
anyway, I didn't do any painting last
But
night.
I could offset that with actual cost of supplies.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't paint last night because my hands wouldn't work. And what's going on with you?
Well, hang on. Can you...
So, what were you saying?
You asked me what I was up to.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, when I went down there the other week to visit with Kat and your mother, which was a terrible situation, I was looking over the place and I realized just how little there is that we actually would want.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something to that effect to Catherine. I said, it's a whole life worth of stuff here. And, I mean, we're taking the rugs because they're practical. And, but we went back. We began looking through everything. And you see things differently at that point because you realize people don't want this. They left it here to get rid of it. And
But what about all those nice goblets you got?
but I'll get to that in a second. But one of the things we noticed were all the cleaning supplies I left behind.
That's right. Yeah.
And some of them were partially used, and some of them were scented, so we wouldn't bring them in the house. But I ended up bringing home bleach and vinegar and shower cleaning solution and a couple other type of cleaners. And these were brand name things too that we don't ever get. We always get the store brand. You know, the actual foaming bubbles. You know, I'd never even spend the store brand cost for that. Anyway, so we came home with those supplies and a broom, roll of toilet paper, a roll of paper towels.
A Keurig machine, which I've never owned, had one before.
And I'm not really fond of us owning one now because I'm going to have to find a space. I mean, if you want to keep it, I'll clear a space for it. But it means getting rid of things. And then having to buy the pods and the separate coffee. And the question becomes how often we're going to use it.
Yeah.
I also got an espresso pot. One of those skinny, thin little pots you heat up on the stove. It's heavy duty, aluminum, whatever, I don't know, looking. And it has a little handle and very traditional, very European thing. And so that's another option for brewing coffee. And we have room to store it. And we came home with sewing supplies, and I wanted to get rid of a lot of them. But you're like, no, no, no. Oh no, those didn't go back. I just looked over and saw there's 2 boxes of sewing supplies that were supposed to have gone back.
I asked you 15 times before I took that shit down though last night.
But it was behind me when you asked me. I didn't see it.
I knew there had to be more stuff.
Anyway.
We also got a big Eureka brand vacuum cleaner, which is still in my car.
Oh,
Gotta
yeah,
bring
you
that
gotta
in.
get that out when we can move things.
That's right.
Like our arms and feet. And I ended up with this Mikasa glassware that is phenomenal. It's like $40 a stem. It's ridiculously
Did you get
expensive.
any china or pots and pans?
I had Reed. We found the china for Reed. There were no pots and pans worth a damn, and the only stuff I got was the glassware. I got champagne coupes, the Mikasa that matches what I brought home in the Mikasa iced tea glasses, and they hold twice the amount. Actually, the other ones I have hold 5 or 6 ounces. These are 12 ounce for sure, iced tea glasses. And then we got champagne coupes, and then 2 compote bowls, all in this Mikasa pattern, and they're really, really nice.
I couldn't believe how much stuff they left behind.
I got 5 carved crystal tumblers, and these are just added to my bar collection now,
Trying to think. I got they left the Keurig machine and some pods, and I thought, well, at the very least, I'll take the machine just so I can use up the pods, and after that, I really don't give a shit. I prefer tea anyway. But they left behind a bunch of personal stuff, paperwork with people's social security numbers on it.
Yeah, Peter was hit with a credit card fraud last year. Somebody opened a card in his name. We had to freeze his account, his credit, and reported that they didn't even get a chance to use the card because Capital One sent Reed a message about your new card in Peter's name. So whatever data they had just gleaned from the web. And I guess they had assumed that Peter and Reed were the same person or something. I don't know. So Peter had gotten really paranoid when he started going through the office area. And he ended up getting office supplies and stuff. But he's like, what about all this paperwork? And most of it had been shredded, but there was a ledger book. And in front of the ledger book was a little bitty envelope stuck in. And it had your social security number, your sister's, your mom's, and your dad's.
Bonnie found all these art supplies. My mother went through this phase where she was going to start painting china.
Yeah.
She went to classes, and it's one of these things where nothing's ever going to come of it.
She even went so far as to buy a small kiln, one of those little 3-foot inside kilns, and I wanted it, but she wanted $100 for it. That tells you the relationship I have with my mother-in-law and her relationship with money. And so she wanted to do not just the china painting, she wanted to bake it on herself and thought she'd sell it on.
Well, so Bonnie found all these
brushes.
So I'm going through the brushes today, and she bought them at some place where it's such a small art store that
The Loft.
that they wrote in marker. They wrote the price on the brushes. 2 of them, each one was $17, never used.
Yeah.
I mean, Money to burn.
There was a sketch pad in there, and I think some pencils and an instruction booklet. I'm gonna put that with my stuff.
Oh, I got a funny as hell black and white photograph of my mother's mother taken in the 60s. She's got the crazy horn-rimmed glasses, the big bouffant hairdo or wig probably,
But it's
and
mixed
pearls
with this
and
polyester church lady outfit that has the thick collar, and it's either zipped or buttoned all the way up. And so she's got the temperance woman kind of look to her, and
She
it's all in
looks-
black.
it's so funny because she had such a big homely man's face, and she's dolled up in this, like
She could
costume.
be trans. She's so manly.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, she looks like the kind of like a lady dressed up as a teenager who would have went running, screaming to see Elvis. Oh my God.
Was she taller than your granddad?
Oh yeah,
She was
yeah.
huge.
She was
woman.
6 foot easily. Yeah.
Yeah, Jane was trying to give me some of her clothes when she died, and they were like hanging off of me. I'm going, how big was this woman? Because I was 5'8". She was large. I could not believe how tall.
That reminds me, I got 4 hooded sweat jackets, like if that's what you're gonna call them, zip up sweatshirts things. Very nice, not old at all. And there were some other jackets down there that I didn't want.
Reed found a really nice jacket at the front, a rain jacket.
Oh, did she get that jean jacket thing?
It was too short for her arms.
Okay.
And your mother left behind jewelry.
Really?
Gold chains. Reed just went down there and just went through all the gold. She ended up with that and a couple of necklaces and a malachite bracelet. Now that I think about it, she really racked up.
We got a really decent. Did we get 2 or just 1 garden hoses?
I don't know. You grabbed them.
I couldn't get the nozzle off that other one. The one that was
outside and torn
the
up.
red kinked one. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. But I got a decent garden hose, and there was all kinds of crap down there.
There's still crap down there that I'm kind of interested in.
It's too late now.
Yep.
I had given if you've ever heard of the author Miss Reed, Read, wrote about this little tiny town where bizarre events happen.
In the UK, was it?
Yeah, I had found these for free at the library in the paperback section, and I'd given my mother because I thought she likes charming small town, adult or family friendly shit. And she read one and that was it. But she had like 15 of them down there, so I took them all back. And all kinds of crap. What else was down there? Oh, a bunch of church music, Christmas music CDs.
Wasn't the Christmas attic? Was the Christmas room?
Yeah,
still
up in the. There's a room upstairs, and it was just full of Christmas shit.
Yeah, she hired me when I was doing organization. I didn't plan to get paid, but she handed me a check. But she paid me to organize her Christmas room.
She had oh God, what else was framed photographs of the kids. Lots of picture frames, lots of mirrors. Oh, Peter found a closet full of linens, and so I don't know how much they're going to get for this sale because we're out in the boonies. If you have an estate sale,
No, actually, I do know. It's estatesales.com or something.
are they going to do it on Saturday like usual type thing?
Baby, I assume it's going to be probably Thursday or Friday through Sunday. And Sunday's usually half off. Unless the person's religious, then last day is Saturday, and it's half off.
Well, we went to last year, maybe a year and a half ago. We went to just popped across an estate sale in downtown Athens, and it was a beautiful old house and had all this cool stuff in there. I got a Guided by Voices CD, and
Peter got some excellent preppy clothes. They got this rain jacket over here.
Really?
And a couple of plaid shirts.
Yeah, they had that nice clothes
and
there.
I got some crushed malachite figures from Mexico. and I got a fabulous 17th century engraving.
It was a beautiful old house. It must have been 120 years old easily.
If I
And
had known that it was the last day that we were there and it was half off, I would have gotten the other engraving. I regret now that I didn't. I think I paid $15 for that.
I just can't see somebody driving all the way out here.
No, that's the thing. It depends on how well they photograph and what you have for sale, because people will drive an hour to 3 hours for the right stuff for an estate sale. You ought to see some of the beauties up in Atlanta. They have some fabulous homes.
Oh,
Stuff up there.
that reminds me. Years ago, Bonnie and I was going through one of my mid-century hipster phases, and Bonnie and I were at a thrift store and found an old-fashioned stereo console, maybe 8 foot wide, with the big speakers on the side and the cabinet thing you lift up on top and the record players down inside of it. And I was going to get it working, and I never did. I got it for like $20. Anyway, I gave it to my mother, and she painted it this horrible avocado green. And that cabinet, that bookshelf thing that Reed got, it used to be just wood, and she painted it like a rotten mustard
It's
color.
buttercream yellow.
God almighty. And took the doors off the bottom and just lost them.
It worked so much better than what Reed had. She had basic Billy bookshelf from IKEA, that sort of thing.
That thing must have weighed 110 pounds easily. And I'm hefting it up the stairs with one. I got the hand trucks that Bonnie's dad brought over were heavy as hell. So I'm pulling that with one hand and hefting the stairs with the other.
You poor baby.
I had no idea I was hurting myself.
This is why people pay movers thousands of dollars.
Well, this is sort of an example of what I was talking about getting older, and you don't even realize you're getting older.
Yeah, and it isn't like you've sat at a cushy desk job all this time. You actually have been doing physical labor, so when you get older, you're really feeling it. My dad had both of his shoulders replaced, and he was a desk job guy, but because he moved around equipment, he would move and set up a printer and move it, that sort of thing. He did that just enough. He blew out his cuffs.
Well, that reminds me, after Prince and Tom Petty each died, there was talk about how, in Prince's case, he had performed in 5-inch boots for
50 years.
30 years, 40 years, whatever. And it tore his knees up eventually, and he had to take painkillers. And same thing with Tom Petty, years of touring and stuff.
But he accidentally walked off the stage or something and broke his leg on the last tour.
Okay.
And so he was on pain pills.
Yeah, I can see it. You're getting older, you're like, oh, this is making me feel like I can handle things again, I did 30 years ago. And, yeah. And then the government wants to crack down. Well, there's no medical reason that you should be experiencing pain. Have you tried meditation?
Yeah, things we've actually heard from doctors.
Yeah. I had when I was going to my endocrinologist, when I first started going to see him, I had headaches for years and years and years. And he goes, well, there's no medical reason you should be having headaches. Well,
and yet they got all of your levels adjusted and took care.
Yeah, when they started giving me proper hormonal supplements and fixing the endocrine system, my headaches went away.
Yep.
And I told him that, and he goes, well, there's no medical reason that taking Cortef should make your headaches go away.
Well, that's the thing. That doesn't make sense.
They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just don't want to give you painkillers. They're afraid you're in there to wheedle painkillers out of them. That's all it is.
I don't understand why people are so willing to embrace pain as a way of life. It's cruel and it's
this American obsession with morality. Suffering ennobles you somehow.
Meanwhile, I'm doing all kinds of things trying to deal with my pain. And it's just getting worse. My muscles are getting more rigid and more stiff. And
Well, you know,
Brains.
you and I have just recently been talking about this. That there's also the issue of how would I describe it? Like a buildup of decades of emotional fuck upness to where sometimes it's not depression or bipolar or whatever. It's just I don't
World
know.
weariness?
I don't know, but I know that you've agreed that perhaps I have some long-term mental issues.
Well, I would go so far as to say that you probably have ADHD, that you are probably not on the spectrum like
But you know,
Peter and Reed and I, or
but you know,
Peter
those
and
are
I are.
just pat diagnoses to me. It's
Look,
like,
look,
yeah,
you have to be doing something all the time. And it isn't just something, it's something on top of something on top of something. You carry around a notebook and you're constantly writing little things in it. And because it wasn't enough for you to write down observations, you had to begin writing down rhymes and little odes and poems and stuff. It had to be more. But see, you're doing this and you're thinking of these things while you're at work, saying, okay, after the dock gets cleared, then we've got to go and put this on the machine. But first I need to go move and clear this hallway, prop open the door,
oh my
secure
god,
this thing that's broken over here, change the light bulb and put a new battery in the clock. All things that he's actually done in a single night at work, by the way. And there's a lyric in the back of your head somewhere. And there's a picture of what you're painting currently and where you're going to go with it. And then there's the thing that while all this is going on, ever present is the guilt factor of Lance.
oh my
There is
god.
this voice from his childhood that somehow or another says either, you're sinning, don't touch yourself.
Or here's the other one that kills
Or,
me: memories of bad things pop in your head. Remember the time you hurt that little boy's feelings 50 years ago?
oh yeah. And then there's the guilt that you're not doing enough. That's the one that gets me. When somebody says, "Is your husband normal?"
Who are these people that are investigating?
Okay, so we're at this thrift store once, and I know the lady who runs the place. She and I know each other on Instagram and in person. She calls my name out. I'm not going to say hers for this. And Lance is in there with me, and he can't stay still. And he's bored, and he finds a piece of paper, and he has a pen, because he always has a pen with him. And he leaves this note about Whitney Houston drowning the tub and puts it in one of the books. And the lady who runs the shop goes over and finds it and starts going, who would say something like this? Who would make this kind of comment? And I'm just like, oh my fucking God, I have to get Lance out of here. He's misbehaving. He's the proverbial child screaming at a store and his parents won't take him out. No, Lance, you're not normal. You've got some form of ADHD, and then there's the whole impact of brain surgeries and seizures and
Okay.
the fucking radiation and the scar tissue that builds up and swells and reduces and swells
Okay,
and
okay,
reduces.
okay.
Yeah, you asked me. You want to know.
Yeah, but you know, you must have. I don't know. You've stuck with me for 30 years, so you must like me.
You knocked me up. Okay. We were married at that point when that happened, I will admit.
But I don't know. We get along okay. We have different opinions about.
Yes, we do. And sometimes I have to say, Lance, leave me the fuck alone and let me do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because he comes in and goes, attention, 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 attention.
I wonder if you want attention or.
No, actually, it's you who wants attention, and you come and do this little, don't you want to see me?
Okay, all right.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway,
I think this should probably be a show.
Yeah, we're doing a show right now.
Are we?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to do something off the record. So we didn't even introduce it as Nothing But Worry.
Well, we don't have to do that. Go through the formalities every time. This isn't late night TV.
Ah, okay.
Now,
I thought you had a routine or pattern thing that had to be done.
I think that this show should remain, or you should move further and further into just free form. Because, like a couple weeks ago, I read something that I've been reading to you on the show. I mean, I want to read to you something either right now during the show or right after we get finished.
I mean, consider how long you've been on.
Let's see how long that we've been going.
How long have you been on?
That's what I'm checking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were reaching for something else.
We've been 30 minutes as of right now.
What? It seems like an eternity tonight.
No.
No, don't read anything.
Okay, I'm going to read to you after we get done then.
At some point, I've got chores to do. I can't remember if I started the washer.
I can hear the wash.
Oh, you can? Okay, good.
I think I can hear it.
Oh, Lord.
Um,
We've got a lot of things to do this weekend. We've got to get your show set up.
You get all those cards to print up, the title cards to print up.
Yeah, and cutting out's the thing that's going to take some time.
You have a paper cutter out in the shed.
I have a paper cutter in the house.
That's another thing we got. We got a 4-foot tall folding ladder. It's lightweight too.
Yeah, something you change with the light bulbs with.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except you guys are tall enough you can just stand on a chair.
Plus, I had to go out yesterday before all this shit happened. What day is today? It's Friday.
Today's Thursday.
Well,
right now,
it's Thursday evening.
Yeah,
going to be Friday
before midnight.
So Wednesday before noon, I had to go out and do some chores of some sort. I can't remember.
You went to a Fresh Market to see how many paintings you could hang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did something else. What the hell was it? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, so that was a nice little trip, actually.
Analyzing you.
No. I'm gonna analyze you. I'm gonna analyze you. Bonnie's. I'll just say that I'll just limit my analysis / criticism to this. Bonnie's the one who named this show Nothing But Worry, because that's what her whole life is consumed with.
I live with you.
She thinks all the time, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? What would we do if they announce you have 2 minutes for the meteor hits? Well, what are we going to do? We need to make some jugs of water and hide them in the closet just in case, Oh.
Okay, I'll admit to prepping at some level. I mean, this dresser over here in the living room, we have lights and candles and matches, and we have paracord.
When we met,
we have a flint stick.
When we met,
and
Bonnie had a Honda hatchback, which basically, as soon as we got married, it died. But she kept like 10 3-gallon jugs of water in the back of it for months and months, because something might happen and we would need water.
You can actually take kitty litter containers and clean them and then put fresh water in them. And they fit beautifully under one of the, this thing I have in the study. Anyway,
Yeah.
You can't see it, but hidden resources. I keep reserves of toilet paper. I have a wind up radio and a battery operated radio.
That's right. We got an emergency light down at my mother's yesterday, and this thing is bright as hell.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's the kind of thing you wave down a plane during a storm, so it knows where.
We also got some light sensitive night lights. You just plug them in.
I'm not used to those. I'm used to dark and.
Well, I'm thinking about putting one in the playroom and then having guitar playing sessions where it's only lit by the little nightlight thing. I think that'd be really psychedelic.
I was going to say a true stoner experience, yeah, but,
That's funny you mentioned that. at my grandparents' place across the street, my dad's parents. That house was so relatively recently built that the only bedroom in the house for one of the kids was my Aunt Janet, who's the youngest of the four kids. So they had moved from here to here to here. And finally, by the time they built that place, she was the only kid left living with them. And in her room, she had this really lame, abstract, geometric shape blacklight poster in there. And it's just so typical because oh God, she was a teenager in the late 60s. So she went through all that. But I'm just thinking blacklight poster. What if I had a black light bulb a long time ago?
I seem to remember you had it while we were married.
I don't think so. I had that when I lived on the house on the hill and brought it home and I had a big walk-in closet in my room up there, and I put the black light into the bulb in the closet, and when I turned the light on, it made this horrible crackling sound, and I thought, oh my God, what in the hell? So I never used it again.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't know if it was some weird wattage or something. Oh, special sort of like what's the word?
Don't know.
Art. I don't know. Anyway, over the course of the last 2 weeks or so, I've discovered or really gotten into the Cult's last two albums, Hidden City and Under the Midnight Sun. And both of those records I had initially thought were kind of lame. And this has happened to me with Cult albums over and over and over. But the more I listen to them, the more just intense they are. And it's an example of a band maturing, but that doesn't mean mellowing out. It just means becoming more focused and more intense. And the songs have more drama to them, more build up. And anyway, they're both really good. I'm gonna get them on CD eventually when used prices return to sanity.
I don't know that it's ever going to happen.
You used to be able to get used CDs on Amazon for like 99 cents, and now it's $14. It's ridiculous.
I'm not going to get into the economics, but I'm not surprised.
So, basically 5-day weekend because I got Memorial Day off.
You do? Oh my God.
Yeah, I thought you realized that. That's why my guilt level's through the roof about not going in tonight.
Well, you're completely fucked up.
Yeah, I can't.
You can't do certain other things either that a wife expects.
Funny. I got to get this wristband off this wrist. It's too tight.
Well, let me pull it off for you.
Yeah. Pull me off, baby.
Idiot.
Now don't mess it up. It's in two pieces. This is Reed's old wrap from when she burned her arm really badly several years ago. Or no, that's not yet. Well, yeah, she had one.
She had a supply of this
Tubing.
pressure bandage that...
I don't know if you can see how swollen that is.
Do you know that they use her pictures now at the teaching hospital?
I think you told me that because it healed so well.
Yeah, our daughter got burned by coffee, and there was first and second degree burns. And I took her to the local hospital, got her stabilized, and they referred her to the burn center. I took her in that night and did an emergency surgery. The forearm, the inner forearm, was burned. It was her right hand. And it was from her wrist to her elbow. And the skin was peeling off and bubbling, and it was horrifying. I had experienced something traumatic years ago dealing with a child who had been burned when kerosene and gasoline was mixed. And so normally I know exactly what to do and how to handle an emergency. When this happened to Reed, that was my baby, that was burned. All that came back from before, and I was having a hard time. I had to call someone and I said, I need for you to walk me through the protocols on dealing with first, second, third degree burns. I said, I don't think it's third degree, but her skin's peeling off and I'm not willing to look. And there was nothing I could do for her. Absolutely nothing. But take her to the ER and then take her to the burn center. And they did the surgery. They removed all the burned areas. And they wrapped her up for, was it 15? No, it wasn't 15 weeks. It was at least 6 weeks. And then she went down there and they removed her bandages. And they put her in this weird bubble bath where you put the limb that's affected into the bath. And it uses bubbles to lift and debride the skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's the debridement process removes anything that should not stay attached. And they removed all the dead skin that had flaked off, the scabbing that had lifted off remained, any of the goo and dirt and stuff that accumulated over the weeks that she had worn this thing. And
Have you mentioned the shark skin yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I should have, but it came out. Her surgeon had said, we've got a couple of options. We've got to do a graft. He said, you've got cadaver skin, you've got pig skin, and you've got shark skin. And without a moment's hesitation, I said, we're Jewish. We can't have cadaver, and pig is right out. We need the shark. And so because I said that, they ticked a box that said, for the following reasons, the person cannot receive the default things of cadaver and pig. The insurance company had to pay for the pig.
Shark.
A shark thing.
So was the shark the most exclusive or the best or the
Yes,
it is.
It is. And they put her through the bath and it came out and she had baby fresh skin. It had grown back in normal layers, full layers, but it was pink.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take time for the pinkness to wear down. But because it was new skin and it was still a little flexible, she had to wear this pressure bandage over it.
Mm-hmm.
It protected it. It kept tightness on it and made certain that the skin grew and flexed and toughened at the right consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had to wear that for the longest time. And to this day, she still wears SPF 50.
Mm-hmm.
And she's at increased risk of getting skin cancer if she's exposed to the sunlight. She has already had a questionable mole removed, which was fine. It was just an aberrant growth right after the new skin settled in. But now there is zero scarring. You can't even see the difference in coloration from arm to arm.
Yeah. So I can't remember how we got on that topic.
We were talking about your pressure bandage that we had removed from your arm.
Yeah, see, I wear those when I'm at work. My wrist gets strained like every other week, and I have these bandages I can wear to make it through the night, so you can handle pulling and pushing stuff and picking things up without making it any worse. But wearing it around the house, after a while, your hand starts to swell up, and it's just painful. So I'm gonna leave it off for several hours. I've had that thing on for several
Baby,
hours.
why don't you let me get you some frozen peas and we'll ice it and
No, it'll be fine. It's fine.
15 minutes on,
No,
once an
I'm fine
hour.
right now. I don't want to do that. I got work to do.
Okay.
I got to help you do chores in a minute.
Oh, that would be nice.
But
We
you're
need to make some decisions about some of the stuff we brought home.
okay. Well,
We've already taken back a lot of it. We can still take back stuff in the dark of the night.
Well, after this, I'm gonna read to you something, and
After chores.
no,
Yes, after chores. We've
after
been sitting here
chores,
too long.
I'm gonna get back to painting.
We'll talk about this after.
So with 5 days off, we'll probably do another episode.
Yeah.
So is that it?
Indubitably. All's going well with Peter at his job. And Reed's is okay. She's rearranging her house now because she's got a 800 square foot, 700 square foot place.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's got to, make certain that when new stuff comes in, old stuff has to go out. And my folks are doing fine. My dad and I have talked about estate planning and how Stephanie's going to be taken care of. That's my stepmom, not my sister who died. And your folks, your dad's still local. Your mom's going back to Montana right now with his sister.
Yeah, it should take them 4 or 5 days to get over to.
Yeah, at least 5 days. Because they're stopping in Texas to visit.
Oh, God, that'd be a thrill for her new husband to meet one of our relatives.
Billy.
So I sent a note to my dad about the show starting tomorrow, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I want to go see it." So, and you know what else? Our friend from New York is coming down this coming month, so it'll be up, and he'll be able to see it too.
I guess there's your impetus to get the damn rugs put down.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get everything done. It's just gonna take several days. We just can't do everything all at once like we tried the other day. That's just too much work to do all in one day.
I figure we'll take care of one of the rugs this weekend.
Exactly.
And
step by step.
Actually, we're going to do 2 or 3 of them because the black one will go into Peter's. It's just going to be cleaned and rolled out.
It's just we got to move the furniture out of the way. That's the main hard part.
We're going to reconsider where the other one that matches the kitchen, library, dining area, not dining, kitchen, library area is. But I'm thinking the easiest one for us, well, maybe not easiest.
If we just had one extra room where we could stick that TV and a little place to sit down to watch it, then all that area would be opened up to us. Because having that TV in front of the bookshelves, I don't like that because the books are inaccessible.
Well,
and those 2 chairs.
I've suggested putting the television on that radiator cover table I have in there.
I know. I'm just afraid of the sun being behind it, and then you're trying to dodge the sun in your eyes.
It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, we usually watch it in the mornings when you get home, and then sometimes in the evenings and the weekends.
Yeah.
We honestly just don't watch TV that much. We bought a DVD player we've used once.
We never use it,
It just.
I thought we had Up in Smoke on DVD. We used to have it.
No idea.
We used to have it on VHS, and we got rid of all of our VHS tapes basically. And so I went through our little meager supply of DVDs, and I can't find it. Their first movies.
Did you go through the stuff in Peter's room?
No, it might be in there. It's true.
Because that is a classic, and he does crazy stuff. I mean, they love the.
Their first movie was the only one worth of shit. The what? Who?
The Fabulous Freak Brothers. The kids used to love
that's right.
at that.
Yeah, it's funny. This 50-year-old stoner hippie comic strip our kids liked when they were little.
Yeah, they are the biggest fucking prudes, our kids.
We have raised our children so bizarrely because
we're so fucking liberal they rebelled against all
but not only that, but
social liberty.
We've introduced them to stuff that is totally outside their generation.
George Carlin, when Peter was 7, his counselor said, "Do you really think he should be used? And you should be letting him listen to George Carlin." I said, "He's hearing the language and a lot worse from his classmates." And honestly, the kid hasn't taken up cussing out everybody. He doesn't go around repeating the bad jokes. I think we're just expanding their horizons.
My mother, when Reed was about 5, maybe, she and my dad were still together and had this golf cart where they could ride around all this property. Took Reed for a ride, and they were gone a good while. And they came back. This is at the old house. Came back to drop her off, and my mother's giving her a hug, and she's like, oh, like this emotional look on her face, like, oh, I never get to see my granddaughter often enough. And she looks at me and she goes, I wish you'd let me take her to church. I'm like, that's not going to happen. She goes, you're not giving her a chance to know Jesus. And I'm
What a
like,
good it did
yeah.
you.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Because I don't want. It's not giving her a chance to know Jesus. It's not giving
You
you a
can,
chance to have her indoctrinated and fucked up mentally by this horse shit.
yeah, you can be good without God. Um, when the kids were growing up, I realized that they may have some questions. So sometime around middle school, I sat them down. I said, "Listen, I want you to guys to know, we are moral people." And and they were like, "Of course, we wouldn't steal, we wouldn't lie, we wouldn't hit anybody, we wouldn't all this kind of stuff." And I said, "Look, this is your assignment tonight. You're going to read the Humanist Manifesto." And I said that basically entails what we believe. And I said, I want you to always know that you don't have to have religion in order to be a good person. As a matter of
Or
fact,
to understand what your life is about.
as a matter of fact, you don't even.
What?
I don't know.
You don't even need tradition?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you see, that has gone down visibly in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, it has.
Got this knot on the side of my wrist here, and it's actually, I can see that it's gone down. My hand is looser than it was when I took that stupid bandage off. My mother had this secret wordless book in this little white Gideon Bible that she was like, told me this will be our little secret. And Bonnie was furious.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our kids were a lot more moral than the kids they went to school with, the ones that were all the time going on about God and Jesus and church. I got to the point where Peter realized that he didn't have to put up with bullying. He could just mouth off to somebody. Because he was a clever wit. And part of it had to do with the fact that we exposed him to adult literature and adult humor. And so when he hit high school, he started standing up to people and their bullshit. There was this one guy in particular who was going on about this other student being a faggot, And Peter's like, "Excuse me? Who's talking about being a faggot?" Because the only gay thing I've seen being done around here is you wrestling around on a mat with a guy wearing next to nothing, all sweaty. And it just went from there. He would challenge these assholes on nonsense. And these people would say bullshit about God or evolution or something. And Peter was right back at it. About it. I loved it.
Yeah. We've got two good kids. And
Reed was really quiet about things like that. She never wanted confrontation.
we didn't.
But she wouldn't put up with anybody being bullied or being bullied.
We didn't. As far as the things that were introduced to, like entertainment or cultural products, we didn't really censor a lot of things. I didn't want them seeing graphic violence.
When
But
Game of Thrones came out, I said, "You're not going to watch this because there's incest," and they both went, "Ew, gross." And then later on, Reed would watch it as an adult, and she saw it. I even watched it later on. I gave it a try, and I enjoyed it up to the last season, and then the kids have developed their own taste, but they still aren't into things like the Saw movies or horror. Peter's girlfriend's big into horror, but they found
really, that's
yeah,
funny.
apparently she's got the Mike Myers thing on the back of her car, the bumper sticker, and
I never got into those movies either.
they're not into horror, slash, or even serial killer stuff, which I love the serial killer shit, and they're good kids.
Yeah. Oh me. I'm trying to get some fucking work done tonight.
I don't know what you're going to be able to do. You couldn't play the guitar last night.
Well, I feel a lot better. I mean, I can paint. I've been painting already about an hour earlier.
You need to rest that.
Mhm.
I'm serious, Lance. Don't push it just because
Well,
you think, well, it's
all right, we're
good
gonna.
enough for this small thing.
What are you referring to my anatomy?
No, baby, I am not. You know that. Largest man I ever knew.
Okay.
Anyway,
We are going to. We're going to call this quits. I'm going to read to Bonnie this short little passage from this book I wrote. Then I'm going to help her, I guess, clean up the kitchen. I don't know.
he has that out of order.
Oh, okay. All right. And we'll give you another report in a couple of days. I'm trying to get some things organized and straightened away and set right this weekend.
And maybe
I'm
I can
so
talk
fucking
about
sleep
the
deprived.
painkillers at some point.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.